Hey, Armand here with a special edition, and edition is the right word, on books about astrology for non-astrologers. Let's say you're interested in astrology, you watch these forecasts, you watch other forecasts, maybe you see, the forecast for your sign for the month of August or something like that. Maybe you watch those tarot readers who will give you like a forecast for the week or the month or whatever given your sun sign or moon sign. Some of those folks are pretty good. So you want to know a little bit more, but you don't want to know the whole language of astrology. And I like that. I don't want you to know the whole language of astrology because that could put me out of business. No, actually, it'd be fascinating for you, and you should think about learning astrology, and it would be terrific. But let's say before you do, you just want to take something that goes a little bit deeper than the sun sign and brings another dimension to it. And I have some really good books to recommend for that. And the first one is Michael Luton's book, Sunshines. Now, this book is really, really cleverly done. What he did was to look at the nodes of the moon. The nodes of the moon are the points where the orbit of the sun and the moon cross each other, and the nodes of the moon in relation to the sun. So you could be a Gemini, and the nodes of the moon might be in a different set of signs. And so you look that up. Now, you don't have to look up and know where the nodes are because in the back of the book, he gives you, so it's an appendix that comes separately, gives you the whole table to look up. So all you need to know is that you are, say, for instance, a Taurus 7. You don't need to know that that means that the node is in your seventh house or the seventh house from your sun. Okay, so all you need is your date of birth. You look it up. And so the sun is what your life is about. And the nodes of the moon have to do with sort of your default programming, the tasks that you come in with, and the skill set, and then where you need to grow. And so as we look at the relationship between the sun and the nodes of the moon, we get all kinds of insights into career and relationship and lots of stuff. It's a really, really good book. And of course, it's written by Michael Luton, so it's way entertaining and fun. And I highly recommend this. Is a great place to start. That's why I started with it in this particular video. So we have that book, Sunshines. Now, if you're really interested in the nodes of the moon, here's a big, it looks like a tome, but it's not so heavy. It is by Jan Spiller. I think it's Jan and not Jan. Jan Spiller, Astrology for the Soul. It is about the nodes of the moon. Again, all you really need to know is where the nodes of your moon are. That you can find out online, and it gives you some real interesting stuff about the nodes and the nodal axis being so important as to, what we've come in with and what we're growing towards. That this in and of itself is a fantastic book. And you can look up by the signs that the nodes are in and also by the houses. And those are interesting sets of factors. You can spend hours on yourself. And then, of course, you're going to go on to somebody else because, it may not be an astrologer, but we know. Next up on the list, we have what is undoubtedly one of my favorite books, and I think one of the best books for non-astrologers, and it is called Growing Pains by Alex Chenoweth. And this is an old edition of the book. There's a newer edition if you go to look it up online. This is a book that was written for parents and teachers. And you look up, again, you don't have to know any astrology. It's all there for you. And it's based upon the position of Jupiter, growth, expansion, how we take things in, and Saturn, structure. So, and just by looking at the signs that Saturn and Jupiter are in, we get a picture of learning styles and some of the things that kids will bring in their own particular little cohort. If you are a teacher, you will have noticed that some years the kids just seem to be really on topic. They're really on point. They are, or they're all polite. They're all really rowdy. And this gives us a little bit of insight into why that is, and of course, how we can work with it. And it is a lot to do with Jupiter and Saturn. That is very good considerations. It's wonderful if you have kids. It's wonderful if you work with kids. And to tell you the truth, it's really just a really interesting read. It is one of the cleverest approaches to astrology. This and Sunshines, the ability to go deep in astrology without actually invoking a lot of technical astrology language. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. This there should be more of this kind of thing around. That's what I have to say. That's my opinion. If you don't like it, I have others. Here's a book that is a little bit more based upon sun signs. It's by Nadia Showa, the wonderful Nadia Showa. You probably see her videos online. You certainly should right here on YouTube. And this is called The Body and the Cosmos. And this is a deeper exploration of sun signs, and it gives you obviously a bit more of a connection to the body, and then all kinds of things that you can do in terms of things for your own well-being. It's not about sickness and curing things. It's not medical astrology. It's about well-being and different strategies for your sun sign. And this is a good book. It'll go deeper, and it comes in at a very different angle. I know there are a lot of sun sign books out there, but it comes in at a different angle than most of them. So take a look. While we're on the topic of, this is a little bit off topic, it was a little off the day's topic, but Nadia Showa's Astrology Realized is a really wonderful beginning textbook. This is the book that I recommend to my beginning students, and it is a wonderful read. It helps to really explain astrology in a really high-level way that is easy to read and will leave you with a good sense of where things are. There are a lot of really good books out there that as a beginning to astrology. There's plenty of them. Stephen Forrest, The Inner Sky is another great book. This one, I like it. I don't know. I like it. This and The Inner Sky, but Nadia's take on things is really, well, I mean, if you like what I do, you should like what Nadia does. So there's that. Now, you don't need to know really any astrology, but you need to like the Beatles. And you do, don't you? Yeah, I'm sure you do. And so we have The Spiritual Dimension of the Beatles by Eric Myers. This is a big, heavy book, right? This is a big, heavy book that is filled with stuff. Now, when Eric was writing this, he wrote the book and realized that he had so much good astrology and Beatles connections that it would be too much for people who didn't know astrology. And so the book is, he went back and rewrote it. I felt that he should have done it quicker, but he wrote it in two parts. The first part of it is the spiritual dimension of the Beatles with just enough astrology in there for you to get a sense of things. This is the part that I would be recommending to the non-astrologers. It is fascinating. And if you happen to know a little bit more astrology, the second half of it, which is filled with a little bit more technical, though it's not crazy, you know, like you wouldn't understand itself, but it's more technical, is absolutely outstanding. I mean, the connections are, you know, it's really, I think it's almost like the best proof of astrology. Not that we're looking for any such thing, but it's just so filled with incredible synchronicities and meaningful coincidences. It is so incredible. So if you love the Beatles and you like astrology, or if you love them both, this is a tremendous book. It's a fascinating read. You could really, it's fascinating read. Now, supposing you want to know a little bit more astro history, here's a book. This is by Christina. This is one of her many books, one of her several books anyway. Tecumseh's Curse, which is about the curse that was put by Tecumseh, You can figure this part out, right? It's an astro history of the United States from 1860 onwards, and it goes deep in the history. It's a fascinating read, just about Native American culture and life, and the whole the mythology, the history, and so on, and then how it intersects with the astrology. It's a great book. Karen Christina's also written a biography of Evangeline Adams, which is a great book to read, and she's written some fiction, including The Precious Pachyderm, which is based upon, it's a fictionalized account of Evangeline Adams. And that's another good book to read. Karen Christina, though, if you're looking for real deep history on things, this is a good person to watch, and this is a good person, well, not to watch, this is a good person to read. And this is a really fascinating one. And finally, we have Mitchell Lewis's Murder in the 11th House. There's also Murder in the 12th House, and there's more murder books, and there's another one coming, allegedly. Still waiting for it. Now, if you like a good mystery, this is it. This is it. These books they're all in a series. The same, it's a typical detective thing, right? You've got the detective that appears in story after story. So far, there's 3. So there's going to be 4, and it's what we call cozy murder mysteries, right? This is on the order of Nero Wolfe, or maybe Columbo, or Hercule Poirot, that kind of thing. It's not like gritty stuff. If you're looking for gritty stuff, Alan Anand's Scorpio Rising is a tremendous book. There's actually a lot of what Anand calls New Age noir books out there written by astrologers. Stephen Forrest has written one, and Joyce Mason, and as I said, Karen Christino. And I am really thinking to myself, I shouldn't have done this, because now I'm going to forget somebody, Alan Anand. But these books, if you love astrology, but you don't really need to know the astrology to be an astrologer, but if you know the astrology, these are fun books. And if you just sort of like astrology and you want to get the sense of like something that is, a little intriguing with an extra dimension on it, tremendous. Actually, I was in my second of the series, I think it was this book here, before I realized that I could look at the charts of the different characters in the book and see, because it's constructed in such a way, that's a little bit much for some folks, I understand, but it's a fun thing to do. So anything by Mitchell Scott Lewis is a great murder mystery book. Cozy murder, not gory, not bloody, no, none of that. But it is a good mystery book, and it, like any mystery, it sets the mood. You feel like you're there. Tell you the truth, when it comes to mystery, I like reading mysteries, but I never figure anything out. I don't really know that you can figure. I don't even know if you're supposed to try, but I never figure anything out. But it's always just it's just a good story, and then there's something going on that kind of keeps you interested in this mystery thing. But really, it's the personality of the detective, and in this particular case, it's the addition of astrology. So there you have it. There you have a series of books for your summer reading or your fall reading, or whatever you want to read. I like to think that people still read books. I've written a few of my own that I'm not recommending to you, because they're really for astrologers, more or less. And I think that you would really enjoy any of these. And this is not a paid promotion. This is just just thinking that you might enjoy them, and I hope you do.